How y'all doing? I'm the Watchman, and this is part three of the mark of the beast 666, the mark that the beast left upon God's kingdom. The mark the beast left upon God's kingdom. And we're gonna get right into where we left off in two. Where I left off in two was showing how the little horn is the papacy. The little horn is the papacy. Not only does Daniel 7 verses 24 and 25 clearly point to the papacy being the little horn, but also we saw that Second Thessalonians also pointed to the little horn, the papacy being the little horn. And I want to read back over Second Thessalonians one more time. Second Thessalonians 2, and I'm going to read verse 3 and 4. But I want to point out again in verse 3, Paul was alive during the time of the Caesars. During the Caesars. And that's why he says, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first. Because once the Caesars got out the picture and the Roman Catholic Church took power, actually the little horn, then that is where he says, then that man of sin will be revealed, the son of perdition. That is when the Pope started to get his shine on, as we would call it today. You know what I mean? But it says, let no man deceive you by any means. By any means. For that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first. The Caesar had to get out the picture. And that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Now remember, it says right there, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God. Isn't the Pope the only religious leader who has a throne in the sanctuary? Big old gold throne in his sanctuary, sitting up there like this. And almost, he as God sitteth in the temple of God. The only religious leader with a big gold throne in the middle of his sanctuary. But let's keep going. Let's keep going. For there's way, way more proof than that. God will not have us be ignorant to his word and to his prophecies. Turn with me to Revelation 13. Let's go to Revelation 13. And I'm going to start reading verse 1. Revelation 13. And I'm going to start reading verse 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. Don't them numbers sound familiar? 7 heads, 10 horns. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. So we know that this beast is backed by the devil himself. Is backed by the devil himself. And I, verse 3, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death. Now you say, all right, Josh, now if this beast is the Roman Catholic Church, or if this beast or this little horn power, if this is the Roman Catholic Church, how was it wounded? February 15, 1798, Louis Alexandre Berthier, a general of Napoleon Bonaparte, invaded Rome, took the Pope hostage, and exiled him to France. Took the Pope hostage and exiled him to France. I believe it was Pope Pius VI, I believe. Now, that date is February 15, 1798, is when Louis Alexandre Berthier took the Pope hostage. Basically, that's the day that Napoleon conquered Rome. That's the day that Napoleon conquered the Roman Catholic Church. The Roman Catholic Church. And as we see in verse 3, it says, as it were wounded to death. But then we automatically see, and his deadly wound was healed. For the very next year, all the papal states were restored in October 1799. All the papal states were restored back to their original power. to the original power. So it was just a year later. And as we see right there, it says it was wounded to death, and immediately says, and his deadly wound was healed. And then, but check this out, and it says, and all the world wondered after the beast. Verse 4, and they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. We know the dragon is the devil, and it says, and they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. For do you think them people really knew who they were worshiping? This is key, y'all. Remember, that is what this whole controversy, this war between good and evil, between God and the devil is over. Is the devil wants to be worshipped as God. He wants to be as God. Go. We're going to turn real quick to Isaiah. We're going to go to Isaiah 14 real fast. Isaiah 14. And we're going to do another little quick lesson on the devil himself. Isaiah 14, and we're going to read verse 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will also sit upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. So the devil, his pure aim is worship. Now this is important in dealing with this. The devil's aim is to be worshipped. And now it says, now in Revelation, we're going back to Revelation 13. Now we're at verse 4, and it says, and they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. I believe they really didn't know that they were worshiping the devil himself. Worshiping the devil himself. But in paying homage to the beast, you're actually paying homage to the dragon. Now remember, we saw in verse 3 that it was the dragon, in verse 2, that it was the dragon that gave the beast his power and authority. What they call it by death by association. So if you pay homage to the beast, you're really paying homage to the power behind the beast, which is the devil himself. And back to verse 4. And they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemy, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. Don't that sound familiar? Like Daniel 7, 24 and 25, talking about the little horn. This is the little horn. The 42 months is 1260 days. That's the same thing. If we turn to Daniel 7, if we go to Daniel 7 real quick, in Daniel 7 verse 25, at the end, where it says, after it says, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time, that's 1 year, a times, so that's 2 years, so that's 3 altogether. It says a time, 1, a times, and a times, that's 3, a time, and times. When it says times plural, that means actually 2. So that's 3 years and the dividing of time. So that's a half. That's 3 years and a half. You take 42 months. We go back to Revelation 13 and we see it verse 5, and it says, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. You take that 42 months, divide it, that's 3.5 years. This is the same entity. This is the little horn that's being talked about in Revelation. God talks about him in just barely little different ways to give you a full understanding. But we see clearly that this is the little horn, the same time prophecy and everything, and even said the same thing before it mentioned the 42 months. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things. Go back to Daniel 7, verse 25. And he spake great words against the Most High, the same entity. Okay, verse 6, and he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them. And power was given over him over all kindreds, tongues, and nations. That's how it specifies which kingdom this is. Only the Roman Catholic Church, this little horn entity, had this power over all kindreds, tongues, and nations. Verse 8, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of the life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. Now, in these first three parts, I was laying out the players, the people who are actually involved in dealing with this mark. But I have to make it clear, okay, before I'm getting ahead of myself again. Verse 11, go down to verse 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. He had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Okay, y'all, this is America. And I'm going to be going even into more and more detail as I lay out the foundation of it all. But this right here is America. It says, coming up out of the earth. You know, remember, America came out of nowhere. Remember? They thought the earth was flat and all that. This country, this great country, came out of nowhere. Came up out of the earth and had two horns like a lamb. It appeared innocent. This is the land of the free. And it spake as a dragon, meaning its actions were evil. It spake like the devil. Its actions were evil and wicked. Isn't that America to the T? It appeared as a lamb, two horns like a lamb. It appeared innocent. Come on over here. This is the land of the free. You're free over here. This is the free. But it had slaves of almost every race, even their own. You know, Caucasian slaves, they were just called indentured servants. They had Chinese slaves, Japanese slaves, African slaves, South American slaves. Had slaves of every race. So it appeared as a lamb. It appeared innocent. Come on over here. This is the land of the free, the home of the brave, the land of the free. But it spake as a dragon. Its actions really said, we're enslaving everybody. We're enslaving everybody. You know, it really spake as a dragon. But I got to continue on. Verse 12, and he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth, check this out, and causeth the earth and them that dwell therein. Remember, what's the devil's aim? To worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed. Who gave him that wound? Napoleon Bonaparte in 1798. But, you see, he causeth the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed, and he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on earth in the sight of men, and deceiving them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. I want y'all to see right here. It says in verse 15, at the end of verse 15, it says, as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And then in verse 16 it says, and he causeth all, both small, great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand. So if you did not worship the image of the beast, you received the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast, and I've been waiting to get to this, boils down to worship, y'all. For worship is the mark of the beast. For if you don't worship the beast, the image of the beast, which is the devil, which we saw in Revelation 13, if you go back, verse 4, and they worship the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. So if you don't worship the devil and his image of government, you will receive the mark of the beast. You will receive the mark. And it's not a physical mark. That's why it says in your hand and your forehead. Your hands mean action. Your forehead means thoughts. What dictates your actions? Your thoughts do. It's just like sun worship. It goes all the way back to sun worship. What day? Remember, the Catholic Church changed God's law to Sunday. The Sabbath is Saturday, but they said you better worship on Sunday. What's the only day like you can only buy alcohol till 12 noon? Sunday. What day do our government hold as the Sabbath? Sunday. The mark of the beast boils down to worship. Are you worshiping the image that the devil set up, or are you worshiping God's original law and what God set up? I'm definitely gonna get into it in the fourth and fifth about the image, the great whore, and more on the mark.